Wonka was directed by Paul King, and it stars Timothée Chalamet as our young, famous chocolatier. That's not really a casting choice I was expecting going in. And believe it or not, this is the origin story of Willy Wonka. This is a movie I never knew I needed. Armed with nothing but a hatful of dreams, young chocolatier Willy Wonka, played here by Timothée Chalamet, manages to change the world, one delectable bite at a time. Now, as someone who has grown up with that original 1971 classic starring Gene Wilder, a movie which I reviewed a couple years back to commemorate its 50th anniversary, I walked into this movie very trepidatious. It almost got to a point where I saw the hype around this movie and the trailer really did nothing for me. So I was almost dreading going to this theater tonight. But you know what, guys? After leaving this theater and the more I think about this movie, the happier I get. Wonka, it appears, is one of the biggest surprises of 2023. It's one of the most endearing movies of 2023. And this feels like a movie that is right up director Paul King's alley. This is the man who brought you both Paddington movies, both of which I clearly loved. And stylistically speaking, the only thing that Wonka really shares with these movies is you see certain situations go down in this flick. And nobody really thinks to ask any questions. The screenwriting is very tongue-in-cheek and very humorous. But you don't really care if certain things in this movie don't make sense. It's the immaculate, pristine cinematography on tap here with Paul King. It's the wonderful visual effects. The colors just fly off the screen. And the music left me tapping my toe the entire drive home. Like, I wasn't expecting much out of these songs, but man, I want to use some of these for auditions now. And freaking Timothée Chalamet, man, fucking bravo. I believe this is actually him singing, too. And even though there are a lot of arm-nudging references to the 1971 movie, as if to tell the audience, hey, remember this thing that you loved? Hey, Zack, remember this thing that you loved, this movie that you watched for the first time when you were like 4? And now you're sitting here just newly turned 27, and we're still gonna remind you of how much you love that original Wonka. Yeah, there's a fair amount of moments like that in this flick. But props to Timothée Chalamet for taking this iconic part and really making it his own. This is a young lad who's mainly known for his dramatic work, but he's got that wacky, zany, wide-eyed look of Willy Wonka down to a T. You just never know when that light bulb is about to go off. And this guy really stepped it up in what turns out to be a pretty big departure for him. He was funny, he was likable, he was endearing. You never knew when his next big idea was going to hit. And props to him for making this music and these songs, which he does carry because it is his movie. Like, he does it well, guys. I don't really know what else to tell you. And there are so many standouts throughout this movie. All these characters that you meet along the way, everybody just has these really charming stories about them. They can be downright ridiculous, like the police chief played by Keegan-Michael, who is continuously gaining weight throughout this movie. Our 3 villains led by Slugworth, of course, which is a very famous name from that original Wonka movie. And even though you never really take these villains seriously, the movie never really takes them seriously either. They know that these villains are very over the top, and thankfully these actors know it too. Speaking of villains, let's talk about Olivia Colman here, who runs this tavern that Willy Wonka goes to. Oh my gosh, she went full on demented. Like, I honestly was looking at her performance, and I honestly wish that she was the Trunchbull instead. No disrespect to Emma Thompson whatsoever, but there's also a fair amount of Easter eggs thrown into the mix, I feel like, from other Roald Dahl pieces. And this character definitely reminded me a lot of Miss Trunchbull. But even though there's so much zaniness in this movie, there is an overabundance of heart, and there's a fair amount of scenes that will make you tear up, and it will just make you smile and appreciate the simple things in life. By far, the heart of this movie is the relationship that Willy Wonka shares with a young girl who is affectionately named Noodle. She's played by young Calah Lane, and man, does she hit a home run. I cannot wait to see what she does next after this. But Wonka, even before this origin, has a very emotionally heartfelt backstory involving his mother, played by Sally Hawkins. You might remember Sally Hawkins from that really weird movie called Shape of Water. You know, that Best Picture winner from like 5 years ago that everybody likes to forget won Best Picture. Sally Hawkins will never be able to shake the facts that her character fell in love with a fish. But joking aside, her and Timothée Chalamet definitely feel like they're mother and son. And that's where a lot of the passion of this movie comes from. And the message this movie shares, ugh, God, it's just so delightful. I can't think of any other better word to describe this movie movie other than delightful. Now, okay, let's talk about Hugh Grant as this Oompa Loompa. And look, when I saw him in this trailer, I was laughing my ass off. I was like, oh my god, this guy is like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids next to Willy Wonka in this movie. Which he's supposed to be, because the Oompa Loompas are incredibly tiny creatures. All I can say about Hugh Grant, well done, sir. Well freaking done. This guy proved me wrong on every level. Every scene involving this little guy, I really wanted to roll on the floor laughing my ass off, but I also did not want to distract anybody else in this theater that was with me. And yeah, even though the movie does have a few too many winks to the original classic, of course you're gonna get Hugh Grant singing the glorious Oompa Loompa song that you're never gonna get out of your head when you watch this. God, that song is an earworm. It's so catchy though, and at least it's not annoying like some other earworms I know. It's a small world after No. I'm going to Disneyland next week. I'm gonna hear that song enough. Honestly, if I were to nitpick anything about this movie, yeah, there are certain formulaic cliches that pop up throughout this movie, like it teeters very, very, very close to a liar reveal cliche. And yeah, the climax definitely ends on a blatant Deus Ex Machina, but I'm not gonna knock this movie too many points for that, because it's very simple, it's very to the point, but it also has enough going for it that definitely makes it stand on its own. Like, if you had never seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory before for some godforsaken egregious reason, I'm sure you can go to this theater and follow everything just fine. Timothée Chalamet is absolutely marvelous in this movie. Hugh Grant proved me the hell wrong. The songs are absolutely fantastic. The visuals are just dazzling. This is the biggest surprise of the year for me for sure, and definitely a very scrum-diddly-umptious adventure. I'm gonna give Wonka an A. Proof that you can never doubt Paul King ever again. But let me know, have you seen Wonka yet? Let me know down in the comment section below, because honestly, there's a lot of big tentpole movies coming out this holiday season. In my personal opinion, I feel like this is definitely the movie that you can take your extended family to, especially if you have young ones. I love discussing all new things, movies, and entertainment over here on the regular. This channel is the place to be if you want to join a great community of film lovers and entertainment lovers alike. So please do consider subscribing and tap on that thumbs up on your way out. That would be a humongous help. Guys, y'all are the best. Stay tuned for more videos very, very soon. And with all that being said, go enjoy some candy and commence that back talk.